radio, spiritual radio. This is achieveradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
Sometimes your body not feel so fine, head hanging low most of the time. Got that meat sack not doing good, head hanging low, don't feel like you should. I talk to the Carolyn. What? Talk to the Carolyn. Talk to the Carolyn. Talk to the Carolyn.
Welcome everybody to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. I'm Ginny Almighty, also known as Ginny Gunther, and I'll be your host this evening along with Dr. Carolyn Dean for the next 2 hours as we trip the light fantastic through health, vitality, and well-being the complement formula way. And we're going to talk all about what a complement formula is and how we do the things that we do and making all the miracles that we make. Well, we really don't make them, but the body makes them by having the essential building blocks that you require to have that perfect health, vitality, and well-being. And the brainchild of all these formulas, Dr. Carolyn Dean herself, is here this evening to talk about how she created them and what they can do for you. Also to take your phone calls if you have questions or comments you'd like to share with her, and also to read our mailbag inquiries of people who've written to us over the course of the last week asking for support as well. So it's a great, lively interaction, and it's a perfect way to start out your week. Start thinking about feeling good and change your story. Change your story from I used to be this and I had that to here I am now. The worst is over, as Dr. Dean always says, and I have found my way into this perfect vortex of amazingness where I can have the results that I need to have by giving my body what it needs in order to perform the functions that it's willing to perform. Do you know there's very little biological support for death, decay, and dismemberment, well, trauma, but certainly not anything that's as aggressive as we'd allowed it to be here. They have people living in test tubes that are died in the 50s, for crying out loud. And it's just because most people don't understand cellular health. But Dr. Dean understands it, and she's mastered it, not only in her own body, but by helping people discover this for themselves. So without further ado, we will bring her onto the show. Let me just remind everybody that not only is Dr. Dean a medical doctor, as I said before, but she's also a naturopath. She is a herbalist. She is an acupuncturist. She is an intuitive, a lecturer. She's a consultant. She's an author. She is an inventor, having herself created the RNA drops, which are a barley extract that are harboring a newly identified cell called DI cell. She has done so much for so many people and has been an advocate for so long. It is absolutely her nature to do this and to be with you this evening. So welcome to the stage once again, Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Oh, thank you, Ginny. I don't know what I would do if you didn't have the yay button. I just live for that yay button. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Welcome, Carolyn. How are you this evening?
Excellent.
Or afternoon in your world, huh?
Yeah, it's 2:06 p.m. in Maui. Beautiful day. We did have a little bit of rain this morning, which is unusual. We love our rain, but then we're sad for the tourists because they expect no rain. But yeah, it's beautiful here, and all the more beautiful because I'm hanging out with you, Ginny. I really look forward to our Monday shows. I mean, some people think, oh my gosh, I got a radio show. I'm so nervous. What am I going to say? But we know that we just kind of say the same thing over and over again. The worst is over, like Ginny said. You can take charge of your own body. And actually, as Melody Rose said today, and I didn't know if I'd go there, but my brain just made me go there. Melody Rose, one of our wonderful customer service people, was saying that today, especially, she noticed there are a lot of very scared people who are afraid to take the step to either do total body reset or take the complete mint formulas without the blessing of their doctor, or without someone to kind of guide them step by step, a professional person, a doctor to guide them. So we're at the stage here with our products and the total body reset where we're finding so many people are able to take that step, are able to take responsibility. They've had so many encounters over the years with medical people, with hospitals, and they haven't been really helped. And, that's why they end up reading my material. They end up at our doorstep or with our customer service. And, this is one of the things that's very difficult for us to say to people, oh, we'll take care of you, don't worry. We're not going to say that. We are going to be there. We are going to answer all your questions, but we are going to expect you to know more about your body than we do. We know more about the products right now, but soon you'll know more about the products and how your genius body is going to react to them. But we want you to be stronger in all areas, not just physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, if you will, but you're going to be strong enough that intuitively you'll be able to know, well, yes, I should do this and maybe I shouldn't do that. So, with the questions such as this person wrote in, I'm certainly not going to give names or anything, but she'll be invited to listen to this answer. She's saying, I've been dealing with exhaustion for many years. Over the last 9 months, I've been working with a nutritionist for adrenal fatigue. I've been spending a lot of money on supplements and him, and I don't really feel like they're getting me to the place I want to be. Some symptoms have gone definitely, but I'm still struggling with fatigue. Over the last month and a half, I've been using a liquid mineral in my water, and this has helped immensely. I would love to go off all the supplements and just use a minimum of things that would get me healthy and really help my adrenals heal completely. What would you suggest? And, of course, the Total Body Reset is what I talk about in the Remite book, especially, where we do focus on thyroid and adrenals, talk about it in the Remag book. And she continues, P.S., I started using RNA drops in Remag as well. And she says, I'm a little nervous to not have someone guide me through this. I don't want to fall back into a dangerous situation physically. So with that in that type of sentiment in mind is why we developed the protocol. It used to be a protocol for the complete mint formulas. Now it's a protocol for total body wellness, where we do tell people, step by step what to do and even what to expect. And we have customer service available, pretty much all the time for people to have their questions answered. But we do, as I said, we do encourage you to take responsibility, and part of that is entirely because there really are not many medical doctors out there who will guide you in the taking of Remag and Remite, because first of all, they don't know about it, they don't understand the pico-ionic nature of the minerals, the stabilization of the ions that allow these minerals to jump right into the cells and get to work and be so helpful and valuable. So if doctors, and we're educating the public, if we wanted to make this a wholesale product to doctors, we would be at all the doctor shows and selling doctors our products, and then they would increase the price of the products, by 100% and sell them to you and educate you, but that makes them very expensive. So we've chosen to do the public outreach and make you responsible so that the doctor is no longer someone who pats you on the head and says, I'll take care of you, just give me the $500 for the consult. It's very expensive to work with practitioners these days, besides the fact that they really don't understand our products, and their half of their income comes from selling products. Yes, I'm selling products as well, but trying to do it in such a way that you're taking the products, but you're also your own best intuitive source of how you're doing on these products. And in terms of this question about adrenal fatigue and feeling better but not enough energy, it implies that there's just not enough magnesium being taken. I don't know what this other mineral, liquid mineral is. Some people think just putting minerals in a liquid is enough to make them better absorbed, but it's only our 60,000 parts per million REMAG in its stabilized ionic form that you can get this high therapeutic level of magnesium. And when you're saturated with magnesium, your energy is very much improved. And of course, we keep saying as well, we're not just wanting you to take magnesium as if that's a drug that's going to shift everything. We're also working with the unrefined sea salt, and us to be the white aberrations that have been refined to the state where there's no minerals in them. So be careful of that, because if people say to us, well, I'm taking sea salt and my blood pressure goes up, well, maybe it's not the sea salt with 72 minerals. Maybe it's a sea salt that just mostly has sodium chloride, which is table salt. So what I'm suggesting to this woman is to read the REMAG and REMITE books, look at our guidelines for water intake and salt. And if there's adrenal exhaustion, if there's fatigue, there are total biology reasons for the exhaustion. I kind of hit on that just a tiny bit last week in terms of the chronic fatigue people, where in the animal kingdom, an animal will just drop if it loses its tribe or its whatever teammates. It will just drop, and the adrenals will kind of shut down while waiting for its flock to reappear. So if that's happening in humans, then we've got to recognize that people need support, and maybe it is kind of the I wouldn't say the failing of women, but it's kind of a vulnerability of women that we take on too much, we do everything. I have another case history in here somewhere. If, someone's a mother, working, taking care of her partner, taking care of her aging parents, and all that is the stress and strain that creates the exhaustion and fatigue that many women are suffering. So we have it all written out in various books. We'll be recommending Restructure as well to get your protein. How many people have been, I guess the word would be brainwashed into a vegetarian diet, thinking that, well, that's the way I'm going to get well, because there's so much media about vegetarianism, and come to find out that only 4% of the U.S. population is vegetarian. So this small minority has decided that vegetarianism is the cure, but if you don't have animal protein, So many other things fall by the wayside. Building your protein structure, your iron metabolism, just your energy. There's so many things. I'll have to do more work on that. But in my Restructure book, I do talk about the importance of protein. So anyway, huge sidebar there on. We know people can be afraid to take this step, but that's where we guide people just to do one step at a time, and keep reading, listening to the show, listening to the archives to hear how other people have taken that step and are very happy they did. I'm going to ask Ginny to leap in now before I go to her blog to see if there's anything more to be said about that.
Nope, I think that was perfect. Perfect words.
Thank you. Thank you. Ginny wrote a very dense blog today, and it's sort of about magnesium testing, which is the focus of today's show and our mailbag. And, of course, we'll get to the calls and answer any of the calls. But Ginny at RNAreset.com under blog, you can read today's blog, and she talks about just the massive importance of magnesium. It's a very good overview and why we require so much magnesium, how it works at hundreds of enzyme processes in the body, and works at the mitochondrial level, works at the RNA and DNA level, gives us our energy. And when we hear people saying, I'm so tired, I have no energy, I'm not sleeping, I have twitches, all those are magnesium deficiency symptoms until proven otherwise. So then Ginny is saying one way to be certain your levels of magnesium are well within the normal range is to get a magnesium RBC blood test. If you're in part of the U.S. or the world where you can take this action for yourself, please do so. The lab we've been recommending is called requestatest.com. That you don't need a doctor's prescription for it. You can just order it on your own, and I think it's still only $49. And I don't necessarily think people have to have that test, but, we're putting out this information to such a wide variety of people. We don't know, what drugs you're on, what your status is in terms of your other health challenges. So we just are trying to be responsible and say, well, you can get a test, and when you start taking your complement formulas, you just take them slowly. Don't stop your drugs. Don't stop your other supplements. But as you're feeling better, then you can wean off things that you don't need. Now, my hesitancy with taking blood tests, I could go on and on about them, the inaccuracy, the fact that you're sampling a sick population so you don't really get optimum levels, but you just get average levels of the sick population for all tests. But with magnesium RBC, the problem there is it's just taking the red blood cells, spinning them out so that you just have a clump of red blood cells, the serum is gone, and testing the magnesium in the red blood cells. Now, there are no mitochondria in red blood cells, and that's where a lot of the magnesium in the body is in the cells inside the mitochondria. Mitochondria make your energy, your ATP energy, in what's called the Krebs cycle. 6 out of 8 of the steps have magnesium, so there's a ton of magnesium in tissue cells, but not so much in RBC cells. But that's the test that is accessible. It is better than the hospital and the doctor lab tests, which is the serum magnesium. The serum magnesium is always going to look good. The serum has to perfuse the heart, and the heart needs a full complement of magnesium to keep the electricity, the electrical conductivity of the heart going. So if your serum magnesium gets low, there's feedback mechanism which brings magnesium out of your tissue cells and into the serum, into the blood, and therefore your serum is always going to look good. It's got this feedback mechanism. So it seems to be the reason why doctors don't bother testing for magnesium routinely on electrolyte panels, because they said, well, it always looks normal. And so we don't like serum magnesium. RBC magnesium is okay. The research test, ionized magnesium, has not become available to the public yet. So what you do, if you want some sort of test, we'll talk today about how to read the test. And also, though, you have to look at your symptoms, clinical symptoms, and then things that cause magnesium deficiency, and see if you fall into that basket. But first, with the magnesium RBC test, the range is 4.2 to 6.8 milligrams per deciliter. And so we'll just talk the numbers, 4.2 to 6.8. And what I know is about 80% of the population is deficient in magnesium. So the population that's being tested to determine that range, 4.2 to 6.8, is already magnesium deficient. So you don't want to be in that so-called normal range. You want to be at the top end of that, and I say it's 6.0 to 6.5. And what's happened in the past year or so, people have been showing me ranges of 3.8 to 6.0 or 3.8 to 5.8, which is just the population getting more and more deficient. If I'm saying 6.0 is a good healthy level, and they say the range is 3.8 to 5.8, then 6.0 looks like it's too high. So education is so important for you folks to really understand what's going on with your magnesium levels. So that's the range you want, 6.0 to 6.5. And as we'll see from some of our questions, this one woman, 35 years old, says, I've been taking your Remag and Remite since October 2016. Now, that's only 3 to 4 months, so that's great, but it's in the beginning stages of trying to get your magnesium saturated throughout your body. She says, I have anxiety and panic attacks. Before I started, I did a blood test, and it was 4.6. I took the formulas, she says, for 4 months, and just recently tested my levels again. To my surprise, it was still at 4.6. I do feel much calmer. My anger is less. My energy is better. My skin is softer. Muscles have less spasms. I've been taking 700 to 900 milligrams of Remag daily. And she says, if I take more, I do not feel great. My diet is very good. I drink 0 alcohol, do not smoke, take plenty of water with Icelandic sea salt, 1.5 to 2 liters a day. I'm curious to what caused my levels to not go up to the desired 6.0, 6.5 range. And it's a great question, and I really like to answer this question every once in a while. What happens when you first start supplementing with magnesium is you wake your body up. You wake up the 800 enzyme systems in the body and get them operating. And before, if they used, a couple milliliters of, let me say it more perfectly. If they used a couple of milligrams of magnesium in these shut down, slow down enzyme systems, and now all of a sudden they need hundreds of milligrams, they're going to be using those milligrams of magnesium to operate the body, and it won't be hanging around in the blood or the red blood cells to be tested. It's just a matter of a shift of the magnesium from its container in the bloodstream shifting into the tissues where you can't measure it. I would guarantee that by taking 2 to 3 teaspoons of Remag for 4 months, that the ionized magnesium test that tests the ions of magnesium in your tissue cells would be high and, in the high normal range. But what happens with the, less than perfect magnesium RBC test is there's testing in the blood, and your body isn't going to waste the magnesium in your blood. It's going to keep pulling it into the tissues to run those enzyme systems. So I'm going to stop in the middle of talking about Ginny's blog just to ask her if that's enough information, it's understandable enough for people about how to interpret the test. Ginny?
I think that's very good information and very important because people do get confused. So I think that's wonderful. This will be a great archive, Carolyn. We can use it in the future. So thank you.
Okay, perfect. And what I really want people to focus on, not just blood tests, I've never had a magnesium RBC blood test. I can't get it over in Hawaii. I just haven't bothered. And fortunately or unfortunately, I can go by my symptoms. Not everybody can, but in my case, if I don't have enough of my Remag, my heart will start jumping around, or I get a leg cramp. Those are my two main symptoms of magnesium deficiency. Other people, I think we've got a mailbag where someone gives that story. How do I know where, how much I should take? But what I tell people to do is really be cognizant of your body symptoms and signs, so that you can know what's a magnesium deficiency symptom and what's not. And I've written up lists and lists of symptoms and conditions in the Magnesium Miracle book and my free Remag book. And there's that great blog called Gauging Magnesium Deficiency Symptoms, where I give a list of 100 different factors that can decrease your magnesium levels. And, it's really important to look over this every once in a while. Diarrhea is there. People will say to me, oh my gosh, I didn't realize, I had food poisoning, I had diarrhea, and my magnesium deficiency symptoms came back. Do you suppose I was losing my magnesium? And the answer is yes. Or, people who, for example, have anger or paranoia or anxiety. Those are magnesium deficiency symptoms. You wouldn't think paranoia is a magnesium deficiency symptom. So it's really being tuned into what your body is telling you, and this is something that only you can do. You can't sit with the doctor and have the doctor ask you 100 questions about these 100 factors. You have to do that, and you have to be on top of the possibilities of what's causing your symptoms. I mean, when people call customer service or call into the show and say, well, I'm taking my magnesium and I still have symptoms, and we say, well, are you on medications? Because medications will drain magnesium. Have you had more stress recently? Have you been on an antibiotic? Have you been on Cipro? I mean, one mailbag today, I don't know if she's going to be on the radio list, but one customer emailed in about being on Cipro and fluconazole. Fluconazole is diflucan, the antifungal drug, and both of them are fluoride drugs. So someone will take a drug like that, or two drugs, and the fluorine ions, if the intestinal flora breaks down those drugs and releases those fluorine ions, then magnesium binds with those drugs. And it's probably a defensive mechanism. It's like, get those out of the system. But that magnesium fluoride compound actually can deposit in the joints or in the muscles, and in the case of Cipro, cause tendon rupture before it's eliminated from the body. So
So people have to take more magnesium.
That's right. Yes, I've had people say to me, so that means my magnesium is wasted. I might as well not take it. No, take more magnesium. And then that magnesium in its ionic state going into the cells will actually bump out the magnesium fluoride molecule and help to eliminate it from the body. So Ginny goes through all this. As I said, it's a great overview and talking about the clinical symptoms of magnesium deficiency. And then, of course, when we bring in the sea salted water, we bring in the remite, we talk about drinking your potassium broth to get potassium, taking your recalcia if you're not doing enough dairy. The whole mineral balance is a nice little dance, but I think we've managed to put it in an accessible protocol that anybody can understand, and then slowly get into and develop and see how they feel. So it's a nice blog, as I said. Please go and look at it. Just remind yourself of the various factors that cause magnesium deficiency. Ginny, in the last couple of paragraphs, she's talking about aging is another factor, magnesium depletion. Older adults are vulnerable to low magnesium status. This is where kind of over the years, if and when calcium builds up in the various blood vessels, you've got your calcium building up in the carotids, which can get, kind of block a bit, or they can, a blood clot can break off, or a little bit of plaque from the carotids can break off and create a stroke symptom. You've got blockage in the coronary arteries, which can lead to heart attack, or blockage in the kidney arteries. They're also called the renal arteries. And the blockage in the renal arteries is the most forgotten and ignored. I just see it, ever advancing kidney failure that medicine talks about, and we don't know what's causing it, but when people get kidney failure, they also develop high blood pressure and atrial fibrillation and high cholesterol and diabetes. So we might as well just give them all those drugs to prevent those conditions, not having a clue that those are for magnesium deficiency conditions, and renal artery calcification is due to too much calcium in the system and not enough magnesium to dissolve the calcium. So we tell people to get on your Remag, and we're getting reports, too, of people who don't take enough calcium. If they take their recalcia, it looks like we're able to decalcify by taking the ionized type of calcium at a low dose. We're only talking about 300 to 600 milligrams a day to meet with the UK and World Health Organization RDA of calcium of only 500 to 700 milligrams instead of the 1,200 to 1,500 that people have been taking. So with the balancing of magnesium and calcium and all the other wonderful things you do with the Complete Mint formulas, you can overcome the aging symptoms and the symptoms of chronic disease that so many people are suffering. So I have spoken these words for your benefit, and I leave it to Ginny to wrap it up.
Very good. Thank you. I will just say that was great. Now, let's also say, the blog was a little dense, but I did want to kind of give people other ways to know, as we discussed about, because so many of the symptoms are really what's driving it anyway, So very good. Okay, now we have a lot of chitty-chatting going on, but the main thing I have to say is that Joan on the chat line, I'd like you to call in to Dr. Dean and talk with her at 602-666-6027, 602-666-6027, And if you are on just the main Achieve Radio page, just the main home page, and you're looking at your computer, you can see the phone number. You're at Studio A, and the phone number should be written right on there. Oh, well, Bill, the number's not even on here. I'm looking. Oh, I see where it says it, across the top. Okay. So call in at 602-666-6027, and the number is right across the top at the call-in lines, okay, if you're looking at your computer. So, yes, please call in. Now, when you call in, you've got to hit *5 on the keypad. So call in and then hit *5 on the keypad, and then that will raise your hand in the studio, and I'm going to watch for you and let me know that you're here, and I'm going to put you on the phone with Dr. Dean. As many other people are here this evening to talk to you, Carolyn. So we have a lot of phone calls to get to if you don't mind. How does that sound?
Okay. Right. We have more blog type questions, but we can sprinkle those throughout. Let's go to the phone.
Okay, wonderful. Excellent. Okay, so let's do a couple radio calls, and then, yes, I see Cha and other people on the chat line with questions about using the products, and we'll get to those too. Have not forgotten all those things. So, but let's go to our phones, and let's go to area code 615. 615, you're on the line with Dr. Dean, and if you could give us your name and then state your question or comment. Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah. Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi. So my question is for my mom. She is 73 and having a lot of joint problems, knees, and things like that, and I put bone on bone. So I've been telling her about the Remag, and I haven't quite, I don't know enough yet of whether you can regrow the cartilage. Yeah. So what would you suggest for somebody who's very overweight or a lot of edema going on? And, she's my mom, so of course part of me to be always telling her what to do, for her to hear me tell her what to do. What would be a first step for her? Because I think if I throw too much at her, she'll just do any of it.
Are you on the product, Michelle?
I am, yes. I just ordered, actually, I'm using the Remag. I'm using the RNA drop. I just ordered the Remite and the, whatever the other capsule. Is that the Remite?
Yeah, the Realign. So tell me, Michelle, are you feeling better in a way that your mother can notice?
Well, I am, but I don't know that she would notice it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I have a lot of, the person that was talking about adrenal stuff, I have been doing that for years, whatever. Research, lots of surgeries, and C-sections, and things like that. So for sure, my energy is better, and I'm like the queen of talking about your Remag because I think it's amazing, and you're amazing. So grateful you're out there. But I've been reading your book, The Invisible Mirror and things like that. But I already went through my mother-in-law she died at 96, and I took care of her. And so I don't want my mom going down that path if at all I can help her to not go down that path.
Right.
And I think
okay,
she
here's
would do
what
it, but
you
I
do.
feel like I throw a lot at her already, and so I just kind of need to back up.
Let's talk about it in this way. Following your guidelines here, I'm wondering, would she take the Restructure protein powder?
I think so, yeah. I have that too, by the way.
Oh, of course. And what you could do with her is say that the cartilage, does require collagen. That's going to be kind of an aspect of the whey protein in the Restructure. There is our RNA powder in there, so that'll be building cells. She will be getting, more protein, which the body needs in general. The Restructure protein is so digestible that it's not going to create yeast overgrowth. The eczema is probably yeast, and the Restructure, if she can take 2 meals a day of Restructure, she's going to lose weight as well.
Okay, great.
And what you could do, you could test it yourself, Michelle, do the taste test and see how much Remag you can get away with in serving of Restructure. Yeah.
Okay.
In a Restructure shake. Yeah. And even if I don't mean to put more work on you, but if you do put it in a blender and put blueberries or something in there, just try to create something, because if you can get Restructure and Remag into your mom, she's going to really start blossoming.
Oh, that would be amazing. And I really want her to do the RNA drops, but I'm not quite ready to explain that to her yet, because I know
But see, they're in the Restructure in a form. There is the RNA powders in the Restructure, so you can you can happily know that she's going to be getting that type, that sort of the bliss, the cell building, the perfect cells, or DNA turning into a better blueprint copy, because that's what happens, with what you're describing about your mom. The blueprint just got a little bit blurry, and the body wants to be perfect, and it wants to have perfect cells, and that starts the building blocks for her.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Okay, I will start with that, and I think I can get her to do that pretty easily.
Right, I think it's doable. Mm-hmm.
One more question, if I could quickly. My daughter has endometriosis, and I just took her over some of my Remag today, because sometimes her periods are horrible and sometimes they're not, and she is working with a whole homeopathic doctor. So I told her today to take a half a teaspoon 3 times today. Is that too much?
No. If someone is in the middle of a pain episode, the Remag is, you just take it as you would, I guess, a pain medication, and it.
Okay. So how much would you, like, if she has a very bad episode, how much would you start her off with? Because she's never taken this before, so. If she's got a history of endometriosis, that's pelvic toxicity. It can be yeast overgrowth. It can be an element of constipation. So detox would be important. So that's our Reline, and with the Remag, I would just put her on Remag all month, of course. Start her off with. If she does okay in the half teaspoon 3 times a day, just say, well, just keep continuing that, because hopefully we can help heal up the scar tissue that is endometriosis, and heal it with the Reline, the Remag, and I mean your mom and your daughter. Remite is going to be important, because with there's an element of kind of hormonal issues with endometriosis as well. Right, exactly. Okay, great. Well, I thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for all the work you do and this amazing program that you're willing to give your time to every week. Seriously, it's so appreciated. I can't even begin to tell you. It makes me cry thinking about it. So thank you. We are listening, and I'm trying to get more and more people to hear this, and so they can be helped as well. So thank you for all your hard work. It is well appreciated.
Thank you, Michelle. My eyes are kind of leaking too, so we better move on.
Okay.
Thank you.
So much.
Okay, sweetie. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, excellent, wonderful. All right, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean. Here we are, achieveradio.com. 602-666-6027 is the phone number to call if you'd like to talk to Dr. Dean this evening. And then you've got to hit *5 on your keypad to raise your hand and let me know we have a question or comment. Now I'm going to try to find my friend Joan and see if she's right here, area code 919. Joan, is that you?
Oh, no, this is Sandy.
Okay, Sandy, well, go ahead. I'm going to try to find Joan. You go ahead, though, please.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Dr. Dean.
Hi, Sandy.
I have a personal question. I've been sick over the last year, and I've noticed that things are coming back. And I am using your magnesium and realign and so forth. But I'm also had made my own for spraying. And what I'm noticing around the liver area is it like cramps on me and goes into spasms where it's challenging I have to stretch real far to try and get it kind of like uncramped. It's almost like a Charlie horse in the liver area. So I had everything checked out last year and everything was good. So maybe I'm just not taking enough magnesium that will benefit the liver, or because I'm
Let me ask some questions, Sandy. When you say you make your own spray, do you mean like a magnesium oil spray?
Yes, yeah.
And when with the liver, the cramps are over the liver, I mean, is it the tissue and the muscles over the ribs, or is it a deep spasm?
No, right now it's not the deep. It almost feels like the muscle, but it's right at the waistline, and it's right at the base of the rib cage, and it starts like in line with the nipple, and then goes over. It takes over the whole side. Now it doesn't get into the back yet, where it was last year, and so I didn't know. And then what I've been trying to do is my stand-up desk that I created and sit down, so I'm not doing too much of one thing.
Okay, back to me.
Sure.
I got some questions. How old are you, Sandy?
61.
Okay. Are you losing your waistline in terms of the amount of space between the bottom of your ribs and the top of your hips? Is there much space there?
Probably an inch or so.
Because what happens, it's got to do with posture and alignment partly, like just the way that the it's almost like your ribs are too close to the top of your hip bone there, and without enough kind of muscle strength in that area, because as you get the spasms there, you want to protect it. So, you're going to shy away from exercises that affect that area. So, I'm not going to be able to show you exercises, but just for you to know that you have to get some either gentle stretching. Don't go, I'm not talking about aerobics, but as you already suggested, you're to do some stretching and whatnot. So anatomically, you're just going, you've got misalignment and lack of muscle strength, so you're going to work on that. And then, like you said, it was worse last year, and it's like, quote, coming back. That means we have to look at how much magnesium you're taking. Now, magnesium oil is okay, but it's not going to be like doing a Remag spray, or pretty soon we're going to have a Remag lotion. And getting the Remag in that area, even doing Epsom salts is better than just doing a local magnesium oil. So if you can put some Remag in a spray bottle, spray the area, do Epsom salt baths every night or every second night. And how much oral Remag are you taking?
What is it, 2 teaspoons, I think, a day.
Okay. Did you ever take more?
No, I was gradually moving up, so no, I haven't taken more than 2 teaspoons a day.
Right. And are you on Remite?
Yes.
And how much of that?
I'm trying to follow whatever was the recommended on the bottle. Yeah.
1.5
teaspoons. At least doing those. Yeah.
Okay. So then the next question is then, what has happened in the past month or so that may have caused your body to need more magnesium? Because, what I'm going to say is that in times of stress, the different things we talk about, medications, family stress, infection, antibiotics, then you do need more magnesium. So perhaps that's all that's going on, that something has happened to destabilize your magnesium levels. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I'm sure it's then, stress that has come up. So, and I noticed that like back in November when there was a bit of stress, that it was like, oh, I'm feeling these pings again, I call them, but
right.
Yeah, and I think it's the body just saying, get your butt back in the yoga studio. That's exactly what it is, because I felt so much better, and, and standing up straighter, and I sit at the computer, like I say, and,
right.
So
you're just... I talk about total body meltdown, so you're letting your body kind of melt and just sort of crush into itself. I just get the impression that your ribs are kind of pressing up on your hip, and you don't have to do that. And yoga is fantastic. That's I mean, you knew what to do, but you just phoned up to make sure you weren't missing anything. That's all.
Yeah, and you've really set my mind at ease, because I certainly, don't want to go through what I went through last year with the Epstein-Barr virus and all that. So, but I do have one other quick question. The new package that just came out with all the products in it, is that 1 month supply going in the recommended dosage?
It is pretty much, because it's got 16 ounces of the Remag. Yeah. But, Ginny, can you answer Sandy on that, just very specifically?
Yes, it is a 1 month supply, except the restructure is 44 servings. But a lot of people prefer, they make their restructure shakes pretty generously, so it could be used within a month. I know I do about 1.5 every day because of the things I like to put in mine. So it's 2 canisters of Restructure, a 16-ounce Remag, an 8-ounce Remite, a bottle of Realign, and a 30-day bottle of the RNA drops. So, yes, it is a 30-day program.
Okay, super. Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for taking my call.
Oh, thank you, Sandy, and thanks for the allowing us to discuss the 1 month supply of the Reset Bundle. I don't know that we've talked about that enough, so that's perfect. But yes, keep in touch, and what happens to folks when they've been ill and then they go on a program and they get better, and then I don't think so much in your case, but some people will actually kind of cut back on the intake of their products and think, oh, I'm all better. So they'll cut back, and then they'll get sick again and think, well, that didn't work, rather than realizing, no, this is a long-term commitment to my body and to supporting the fact that I can't get the minerals in my food. So it is a long-term commitment, and I appreciate you doing it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I know that it is exactly. It goes into the lifestyle is what it'll is doing for me. So that's what I look at it. But so it's just like you said, it's kind of just gave me that reassurance that it's posture and it's not. There's a good chance. And I don't feel in my body that it's coming back. It just is a reassurance. Just get your butt back in the yoga studio.
Yes, you have my prescription to do that. When I was in practice, I hardly ever wrote a drug prescription. It was do yoga. Get your husband to do the dishes. I would send prescriptions back home for the husband to take care of the kids for 1 day a week, so the poor mom could get out. But you have a prescription for yoga now, okay?
Yes, Okay, thank you so much. And again, thanks for committing to these calls. They're super.
Thank you. Okay, Ginny.
Okay, very good. All right. So I just want to make sure I found Joan. So I'm going to go, hello, area code 347. 347. Is this you, Joan?
Hi, Dr. Dean. Hi, Ginny.
Okay, very good. Now, Joan, I just have to tell you we have just about a minute before we go to the top of the hour. So we'll get started, but it'll have to go over into the next part. All right, go ahead, Joan. Tell Dr. Dean what you were telling me on the chat.
Okay, Dr. Dean, I have talked to you before a couple of times. I've been on the complete reset formula now for this is my 25th day, and I haven't. The main reason that I was taking it is because of my blood pressure. I think when I initially told you my blood pressure readings, you were saying that it wasn't that bad. But for me, it was bad. I mean, it's now controlled to an extent. It's not going crazy like before. But other than that, I have not noticed any difference. And the thing that I'm really concerned now is that I've got this like really major depression. I used to suffer from depression. I've had depression all my life.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we have to do the station break. But stay on, and I'll get right back to you. Okay? Okay. Good. Thanks, Joan.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
Ion, in what way do these fatty acids relate to salt and light?
Always.
In all ways.
But the anointing is required for the next phase of the lampstand, so one needs to be anointed prior to...
That's how they got it out of them and into the Ark of the Covenant.
So that's the RNA drops before the bread of life, Ion? The anointing is the drops?
Interesting, didn't say. It's
the first supper. It's the first supper, not the last supper. It's the first supper.
Okay, good. The first supper of the Lamb.
Ion, do the lampstands have to do with the double helix strands?
It could, because what apparently the lampstands hold is the most valuable portion of the program. And your RNA strands would hold the most important aspect of the conversation. And if it transposes or allows the amino acids to flow through the stranded system, you need a lampstand in place that would allow it to flow 7 layers on the blossom of that flower. The stamen would come from chromosome 14 would have flowed through all the other chromosomes. The lampstands would be the representation of a standing candelabra. If you look at a double helix strand, it has an appearance of having a candelabra. So, ding, 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 ding.
AchieveRadio.com. Sometimes your body not feel so fine, head hanging low most of the time. Got that meat sack, not doing good. Head hanging low, don't feel like you should. I talk to the Carolyn. What? Talk to the Carolyn. Talk to the Carolyn. Talk to the Carolyn.
All right, everybody, Hour 2, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Welcome back, Dr. Dean, and also our caller this second hour, Joan, calling from New York. Go ahead, please, ladies.
Okay. So Dr. Dean, the only thing that I'm really I've been following the chart that we received.
Right.
And the only thing that I really haven't been diligent on is the salt. the 1 tablespoon of salt. I do like a half a
No,
tablespoon.
it's not a tablespoon, and
I mean teaspoon. I'm sorry,
teaspoon. A quarter teaspoon in each quart. We're going to define that better for people because I think, okay. But Joan, are you the caller that talked about the blood work and your cancer markers, etc.?
Yes.
A while back. Oh, not a while.
Right.
I mean, it's a month
couple
or
weeks
so ago.
Yeah.
Right. So you are saying that you've had a history of depression, and now those depressive symptoms have leapt forward.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Right. Yes.
Okay. So what we know about the RNA drops is that they can accentuate a person where, kind of accentuate what has to be dealt with, or, if a person is slightly depressed, they can accentuate that just to bring it to the surface so that you can deal with it or take care of it. And I don't know if that's exactly the case with you, but personally what I would do is stop the RNA drops and then kind of tackle the depression in some ways. I don't claim to treat depression, but what I do tell people or offer people is in the total biology world, we have some very good affirmations, some books about, I don't know if I gave it to you the last time, cancer is not a disease, it's a survival mechanism, which sort of describes the total biology view. And I remember saying this too about the conflict basis of disease, and it's just, I don't know you, I don't know your history, but if the body is bringing this to the surface, maybe there are ways that we can work with it. So we can send you that information about total biology. Ginny has it all laid out. And what I personally recommend in my writings, etc., is something called Empower Plus. Do you know that product?
No,
Empower Plus. It's a Canadian product, but it's sold worldwide. And Empower Plus is basically a mega multiple vitamin, mineral, amino acid product that I think it was a pig farmer and his friend up in Canada, and I know one of the inventors of the product. The pig farmer said that when his pigs get irritable and anxious and start biting each other and whatever behavior they do, he has a formula for them. And his friend, who's the person I know, his wife had just committed suicide, and his daughter and son, in a very large Mormon family, they were depressed as well. So he said, well, let's create a formula for humans. And this compound has an 85% success rate with depression, compared to 40% with antidepressants. So I highly recommend it, and I ask you to look into it. It's Empower Plus, and I think there are 2 formulas now. I think the two owners of the company have parted ways, and the one I'm sticking with is Empower Plus Advanced, because that website has all they have about 24 university-based studies on the product. So it's something that I'd like you to look at. But also, Ginny, what do you think? Do you think Joan should just sort of set the RNA drops aside right now?
Yes, it could be, and that it is emotionally getting her a little stirred up. And as we said, the RNA drops do provoke things to come to the surface. So I think that sounds like a good program, a good plan for her. And give it a couple weeks and see if it subsides.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it sounds like it's a well, it does sound like it's a bad thing. Who wants to be depressed? But if it means it's sort of bringing it to the surface so that you can, tackle it in certain ways, and to tackle it, we're talking about Empower Plus Advanced and looking in more detail at the total biology. Then it's really quite possible you can come to terms with it and, figure out why your body is trying to slow you down and give you these symptoms.
Okay. And it all could be, and it's probably all connected with my high blood pressure and all of that, correct?
Oh, yes. I mean, gosh, the moment you tense your body and, trying to push aside the depression, then that will translate into your muscles and into your blood vessels and create symptoms. And, as you told me your levels before, and I said, well, that's not really that high. But, you say, well, it's not. It's high for you, and that's what's important. So your blood pressure is kind of letting you know that something is out of balance.
Right. Okay. Great. I will definitely try Empower Plus. I had bought something else and was taking it. It was like a psychiatrist's idea of a homeopathic remedy, right? So thinking how much.
Well, here's if I could just give you a few more words here. And I'm looking at my total biology notes that I took in my classes. And our teacher said depression is a loss of territory, or I can't mark my territory, or general human conflict in my territory. So it's very much about territory, and I don't know if that makes any sense, but we have examples of people who they can't work where they used to work, or a divorce, or breaking up some sort of business partnership, or just fighting with family. But so most of the time, depression has a solid reason in a person's environment. So it's a matter of kind of realizing this and talking it through with someone, and for the most part, just seeing, well, I'm doing the best I can, and their problem is not my problem. All those cliches come into play where you just don't take on other people's negative information, or take on the stories of the family, or blame yourself for things that are impossible to be your fault. So just being aware of loss of territory being important here. Okay, that sounds great. It's like you're right on the money. Okay, so I will start with the Empowered Plus. Thank you so much, yes,
Dr. Dean. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's if I could just give you the website, it's called truehope.com, truehope.com, and Empower Plus Advanced. And keep in touch, Sandy.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, very good. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here at achieveradio.com. Thank you, Joan, for calling in. Sometimes it's a little bit of a this and a that to get people on the phone, but it's worth it, because when you talk to Dr. Dean, you automatically usually feel better right away. That's what most people say. I know I feel better every time I talk to her. All right, let's go to continue a couple more phone calls, Carolyn, and then we'll try to wade through the chat line and everybody's comments and questions this evening. All right, let's go to area code 203, out to the great state of Connecticut. You're on the line. Good evening, Sandy. Hello.
Hi, Jenny. It's so good to talk to you. And thank you for taking my call. Dr. Dean, I'm very pleased. Thank you so much for talking to me. I spoke to Melanie Rose. Oh, she's so wonderful. I spoke to her. I asked her these questions. She told me to talk to the Carolyn song, you know. So that's what I'm doing. I'm calling to talk to the Carolyn. All right. I last time I spoke to you, I had just mentioned I was getting what everybody else had, and it turned out I did. And Friday at 5 o'clock in the morning, I woke up, and I wasn't feeling too well. And I did my blood pressure, I had that whim, and it was 150/98. So I had the low side of high blood pressure right there. And I thought, well, I was sick, and I was probably, now I'm already taking the 3 teaspoons of the magnesium in my water, and I'm doing all of that. And so I decided, I added hibiscus tea. You do have to drink it like at least 3 cups or something, but it really does help lower the blood pressure, and so does celery. So I'm doing those 2 things, and I'm taking some passion flower. That's 3 things I added to help me get my blood pressure in alignment. And of course, everybody should know eating beets, or even beet powder, if you can find it in a health food store or something, works very well. And so anyway, was there anything else you could think? Is there anything else I should be doing to bring down that 98? That lower number is so high. That was the question. Then I had one more question about the recal. And
well, you're still. I hear you still coughing a bit, so that immediately tightens things up and can, be affecting the blood pressure. So I really think you're doing enough, and to put more attention on it might just, sometimes when you put attention on things, the body says, "Oh, she wants my blood pressure to be high." Okay, here you go. So just try to. You're doing your Remag. You've got your tea and your celery and passion fruit and your beets. So just leave it alone. Let it be, and things should settle down.
Okay. Now, the other question I had about recall, and I hope some of those suggestions on it can help some of those people who had high blood pressure. The recal, would I be getting more of the therapeutic benefits from that if instead of putting it in my big bottle of water with everything else and drinking it all through the day, if I took it at once, like all at once, do you get a better, cleaning out of the arteries and that sort of thing if you take it?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I think people will tell us. I know I just take 1 teaspoon a day of Recalcia, and I just take it all at once, and that seemed like the best thing for me. But it's a good point, Sandy, because if we're saying it jumps into the cells and pushes out other calcium, then in the 1 dose amount, maybe it will do that more effectively. But, what you do in that case is some days you put it in your drinking water and drink it all day, and some days you just take it in 1 dose. You split the difference.
Sure. That makes sense too. And I do like the idea of just taking it all at once. Then I know I'm getting that amount, and I have been sharing water with my husband. And I sent away for your the protein powder, which I'm going to be working with. Today I was out of it. Oh, I hate being out of it. But I also put it out there before we hang up that those canisters are wonderful. They're wide mouth. They're large. I put the dog food in the leftover canisters. I've put flour, taken them out of... The canisters themselves are people throw them out, They're so useful, So I just wanted to throw that in there. But, hey, thank you very much for answering my question. I think I will take it all at once, and I'm just going to stay right where I am with what I'm doing. Always a pleasure to talk to you, and thank you for speaking with me tonight.
Oh, thank you, Sandy, and thank you for your suggestions. Very helpful.
Okay, bye, Jenny. Bye.
Bye, sweetheart. Thank you. Very good, very good. Okay, let's do this. Let's do a couple of these questions from the chat line because these are just rolling by, and I'm afraid I might even lose them. Okay, Chaw's asking from the UK, Carolyn. Is it possible to take Realign with Restructure? I guess with her shake is what she's saying. And I know...
swallow it together, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I know Realign should be taken with food, so when I take Restructure, should I leave a gap of how long? Restructure is food, right?
Well, Restructure is a food, so yeah, take your Realign with Restructure. Covers that.
Okay, very good. I think.
Prescription.
Yeah, I think very good. All right, excellent. Nadine, if I were to get a magnesium RBC test, the instructions say not to take vitamins or herbal minerals for 1 week. 1 week prior to testing. Wow. So this means I should stop.
Everybody would just die. Forget about it. No, that's not going to be beneficial. And they don't know what they're talking about. I mean, I think it would be more for fat-soluble vitamins to get them out of your system. Magnesium is water-soluble. So I know myself, a few hours when I was first doing my Remag and trying to saturate my body, I would feel it within a few hours of missing a dose that, oh my gosh, I'm low on Remag. So if you go the 12 hours overnight, your body is going to get to a balance point. And if you take your magnesium RBC each time with a 12-hour absence of the Remag or magnesium, then you'll just create a standard for yourself. So, I don't believe in that whole week off.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. Okay, so we got that question answered. Now let's see, where are we here? Carolyn, not necessary to do a liver detox if you're taking Realign every day, right? You wouldn't do that business, would you?
Correct.
Very good.
Yeah, no.
All right, excellent. Now, let's just talk about blood pressure because people seem to be getting quite freaked out about it. And I'm wondering, I don't know, maybe it's just a change in the environment that it seems like a common theme. But what is reasonable blood pressure, Carolyn?
Well,
I mean, you always hear 120 over 80, 120 over 80. But I've heard you say that the bottom number's the most important, and that you don't really have to freak out until it gets, over like 95 or something like that. And the top number bobs around like a bobber, and it's not really, like this major thing that you have to concentrate on. Is that still accurate?
Correct,
Did I hear you properly?
Yeah, you did. So, a range of 100 over 70 to 130 over 90 is kind of in the normal range. But what's been happening, I mean, just like they did with cholesterol, they're doing it with blood sugar too, they do it with blood pressure. They try to tighten up the so-called normal and make people feel who are a little outside that normal that they're abnormal and need drugs. And but 110 over 70 to 130 over 90, and it can bob around a bit, I'm sure. Especially you can have your own white coat syndrome if you go into Walmart or Long's drugstore and take your blood pressure. It can be elevated just because you're worried about what it will show.
And isn't the morning measurement the best? Because like Marcia typed in, she's at 140 to 84, but then in the morning she's at 120 over 80, but then at night it goes up to like 165 to 90. I mean, isn't the morning pressure the better pressure type of a thing?
It is, because you're rested, your muscles are rested, your tension is not contributing to your blood pressure, because look at where your blood vessels lie, within your muscles. If your muscles are tense, they're going to tighten up your blood vessels. And what I would say is you're taking your blood pressure far too much. You're putting too much attention on it. And sometimes, who's saying this? Is it Marcia or Michelle?
Marcia was saying that.
Yeah, Marcia is not my patient, but sometimes, with my patients, I would just tell them, put your blood pressure cuff in a drawer, take your blood pressure once a week, and be done with it, because, it is going to fluctuate. and that's normal. And then you're kind of driving yourself crazy trying to figure it all out. But yeah, that morning blood pressure is perfect. So that's what it is. And then as you continue to take your Remag and all your good stuff, then things sort of settle down, even to the point of you not being so worried. Remember, in the list of gauging magnesium deficiency symptoms, one of the number 45 is paranoia. So don't be paranoid about your blood pressure. Most of that paranoia is just engendered by the allopathic medical community and the drug companies who want you to take blood pressure drugs.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, putting the attention on the physical symptom is just, I mean, it got to shift that, change your mind, train your mind to put it in a different direction, so you're not giving it so much attention. Absolutely. Okay. Now, let's see. Gordon who's typing in, here's another person, Gordon to the telephone. You've got to call and talk to Dr. Dean. We've got a lot of information on here, and it would be best if you just call and talk with her. 602-666-6027. 602-666-6027. Gordon, I want you to call in and talk to Carolyn. All right, very good. Yeah, Joan's saying, wow, I take my blood pressure at least 4 to 6 times a day. Lord. I mean, that's like saying to your husband 5 or 6 times a day, honey, do you still love me? Honey, do you still love me? Do you still love me? Do you still love me? It's like that need of reassurance. It's got, no, you can't, your body's under pressure to reassure you that it's not under pressure. Wow, I mean.
And each time you take it, it's higher. I mean, that's what she said. I'm saying you're more tense during the day. But, yeah, you're making yourself more tense by thinking, it was high the last time. It's going to be worse now. Oh, my gosh, it's true. It's worse.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Carolyn and I have had our own health challenges that we have gone through, so we're not being insensitive, but we are being reasonable, and you've got to definitely, put it in its proper perspective. Pour the body. Just give it a big hug and thank it so much for all the wonderful things it's doing. And, Gordon, yeah, when you call in, 602-666-6027, and then hit *5 on your keypad, and let me know that you're on the line, and I'm going to have you talk to Dr. Dean, because you've got a lot going on there, and I think it would be best if you just talk directly to her, and especially since I know you're sitting right here. Okay, now, let's go back to our phones. Who was there? All right, very good. Let's go to area code 818. 818, you're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Yeah, hi, Dr. Dean. It's Barry. And we've spoken in the past. I'm in my 70s, 75. I have AFib. I bought the Remite, and I bought the Remag at one point, but I think I wasn't doing it correctly. I tried to put it in a bottle that I could sip it through the day, and then I would forget. And at the end of the day, I was trying to rush to do it all, and I realized I was not doing it the right way, is all. So in the meantime, in the last month and a half, my cardiologist checked, and it seems like I have a 50 to 60% blockage on left and right carotid arteries. So one thing I'm doing now is I do take some Vitality powdered magnesium in the evening, but I haven't taken I haven't bought any more of your product till I spoke to you again. And I was doing some little tablespoon of pomegranate juice. Someone said could maybe help with the carotid artery, and I'm doing a little bit of tablespoon of Bragg's raw apple cider vinegar. That's kind of the only things I'm doing, other than, trying to figure what's the best way to kind of deal with this,
Right. Do you do any calcium foods, Barry? Any dairy products?
No, I don't. I'm non-dairy. I've been non-dairy for many years, and I just realized in this one supplement I was taking from a pretty good company that there was some calcium in it, a couple of 100 milligrams. I was taking that once a day, which is by a company called Integrative Medicine. So that's about it. I was not taking any specific calcium products. You're saying that just so I should maybe not, right?
No. See, what happens when when you don't take any calcium and your body needs calcium for various functions, not just making your bones, then what happens is periodically the bones will kind of release calcium to take on the functions. One of them is blood clotting, but there are a lot of things calcium does. And in that dumping of calcium from the bones, some of it can precipitate into the arteries. So by not eating dairy, and I'm not telling you to eat dairy, what I would move to is our Recalcia, which will give you the calcium that the cells need and help bump out the calcification in the arteries. I mean, we do have testimonials of people who've had their carotid ultrasounds before and after the products, and saying that they're I forget, it was like a 40% decrease in carotid artery calcification within 4 months. So I didn't.
My cardiologist said, let's take another scan in 6 months, she said.
Oh, perfect.
She maybe wasn't freaked because it was 50 to 60%. Maybe it would have been 70 to 80 or something. Then she would have said, okay, you're walking dead. Let's do something. But
yeah, they would.
Yeah, and I thought I ate pretty well. I'm sorry, go on. I interrupted you.
Yeah, it's this whole business of avoiding whole food groups that can get people into trouble, or, being a strict vegetarian when the body really does need more protein. So, personally, what I would do with what you're telling me is I'd be on 3 teaspoons of Remag a day, the 2 teaspoons of Remite, and 2 teaspoons of Recalcia. And that will give you the minerals that you need to. And
you would take that all at one time?
Well, because you're not a sipper, what you could do is take 1 teaspoon of Remag 3 times a day. 1 teaspoon of Remite twice a day, 1 teaspoon of Calcia twice a day, and you can take all 3 together, put them in some water, some juice or something, and knock them back.
So you could take a teaspoon of each and do it 3 times a day, just to break up 3-4 hours apart, something like that.
Correct.
And between meals, or doesn't make
matter.
Any difference?
Doesn't make any difference at all.
Because I'm one of these kind of guys who's great at telling everybody else what to do, but then when it comes to me, I say, God, I'm not doing it right. So like she was just talking about your partner, their cohort, saying, God, people start getting, paranoid. I'm going to take 20, and I've checked my, high blood pressure. I can get a little paranoid like that, so,
Well, we're humans, No, we're just humans. But seriously.
So I should order the, just let me spell that. So that's is it called, what do you call it? How do you say that?
Recalcia. Recalcia, Calcia. And, get the 16-ounce bottle of the Remag, because you're going to go through it, and get your Remite and the Recalcia. And that's, you're going to be, in 6 months, you're going to be calling us back and says, oh my gosh, I didn't believe you for a moment, but I'm, 3/4.
Should I get the 16 ounce of each of them, or just the 16 ounce in the Remag?
We just have the 16 ounce in the Remag, because the other 2 were pretty much a month's dose, but actually not.
Okay, because what I'm looking here is I have the 8 fluid ounce that I got before in the Remag, and I guess the 8 fluid ounce also in the Remite. So do they come in bigger sizes?
Just the Remag.
The Remag. Okay.
Yeah. And, you can call customer service and ask those questions.
Okay.
But
if I'm doing a teaspoon a day if I'm doing a teaspoon a day on an 8 fluid ounce bottle, or I'm doing that, 3 times a day, 3 teaspoons a day.
No, you're doing. Seriously, call customer service on these ones, because I want you to get it right. Or Ginny, can you take over? I'm not good with that.
Yeah, all you have to do. Remind me of who this person is. Say the name again. I'm sorry.
Barry.
Barry. Just call and ask for Ginny at our customer service, or email us at support, SUPPORT, at rnareset.com, and I will transcribe and give you exactly what Dr. Dean's recommending for you, and I'll type it out so you'll have it and you can put it with your products, okay?
Well, all I remember is what you're saying is it's a teaspoon of each 3 times a day. That's what I kind of got on it.
No, that's not what she said.
That's not what he said. And, that's why I want Ginny to give it to you directly. Or
okay, all right.
If you email her right this minute at support@rnareset.com, she'll email you right back because she does multitasking, okay?
Okay, I got you. Support@rnareset.com. rnareset.com.
You have 6 months to do this, so it's a fantastic personal clinical trial. Okay, Barry?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Keep in touch. Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
Right. Bye-bye.
Okay, excellent. All right, now Gordon, my new best friend Gordon. Gordon, you are dialing the wrong number. It's 602-666-6027, not 660. It's 602-666-6027. Okay, please call that number. Now, a couple things on the chat line, Carolyn. A person typed in by the name of A. Regarding blood pressure, I was recently told by a geriatric MD that older patients have higher blood pressure needs to have sufficient blood flow to the brain, with 150 systolic being a good number for an older person due to their vascular changes. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yes, I agree that the higher numbers to get the blood pumping into the brain, and it's very frustrating when other doctors will say, well, 150 is too high, just because they say, anything above 130 is high, and they put older people on blood pressure medications, which causes them to have too low a blood pressure. So I agree, but I'm not going to kind of, we talk about that on more of a case-by-case basis rather than, try to
make that a standard.
You set a standard, yeah.
Yeah,
but
okay,
I agree.
Very good. All right, excellent. Okay, couple things. Let's see. Rachel in California. I've been on the Complement formula since July 2015, and I added a drop of Recalcia and started getting very loose bowel movements. I've since cut it out, and now my bowel movements are back to normal. Is this my body way of telling me I'm getting plenty of calcium? I'm taking 3.5 teaspoons of the Remag, 1.5 of Remide, and 8 RNA drops a day. Thank you, Rachel.
Wow. I can't imagine that happening. It obviously did happen to you, and, 1 drop of Recalcia. Yeah, I don't understand that. What would you think, Ginny?
I don't
Help
understand
me,
it
Ginny,
either. I mean, unless vanadium, but I don't think there's that much in there. I don't understand that either, Rachel. Yeah, that seems very interesting.
Right.
But,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, diarrhea, calcium, too much calcium causes constipation, not loose bowel movements. I mean, is it decalcifying you? And no, I mean, 1 drop. I don't get it at all. Experiment with it every once in a while, Rachel, and see if it shifts, or try to give us some more information about what's going on, because that's quite fascinating, actually.
Okay, very good. Excellent. Okay. Now, Alka in Dallas, Texas types in, Dr. Dean, I'm on 20 milligrams of Lexapro. I take this just before bedtime. When should I start my weaning off process? I've been on Remag for 2 weeks now. I'm thinking that I should also allow the Remite Rebob to set into my routine, and then thinking of weaning off that. After that, I can tackle my blood pressure. I take losartan for that. I also take 100 milligrams of thyroid meds.
Right. Yes, 2 weeks is way too early. This Lexapro, it is a fluoride drug, so that's the one you want to wean off first. The serotonin reuptake inhibitor, SSRI. What you'd have to do is assess your mood, see how you feel. get yourself on all the products before you slowly wean off the Lexapro, and try to do it with your under doctor's supervision. Just because I'm not there, I can't tell you to do it. You have to decide when you're feeling good enough and strong enough to wean off.
Okay, very good. Excellent. Okay, excellent. All right, now my good friend Gordon found me, so let's get Gordon going here. Let's see where we are here. Gordon, are you in Alberta, Canada, Gordon?
I am, Jenny.
Oh, very good. Well, welcome. We love people from Alberta. Go ahead. You're talking with Dr. Dean.
Hi, Dr. Dean. How are you?
I'm fine,
thank you. I'm glad to hear that. I really appreciate all you've written. I haven't been sleeping. I had to quit my job because of I drive for a living. I was driving for a living. I had to retire because I kept falling asleep. And so, therefore, I started looking up what to do to sleep, and magnesium came up, and your book was top of the list. So I've gone through your book more than once. And I've taken now on a third bottle of Remag, the big one, 8-ounce bottle. And I've started sleeping, and I called in, and Ginny said, well, I started taking the Remite and stuff, but then I started being wide awake, and I wasn't sleeping, and my emotions would come up. And she said, well, you better cut out the Remite for now, and just take the Remag. And so I started taking, I muscle tested 4 drops of Remite for a while, but I still kept waking up at 2 and 3 in the morning, and then I couldn't get back to sleep. And then a lot of the emotional stuff has been coming up as well, as I typed in there. Losing my mom, and then right after that I lost my job. And so I got another job, and I got fired because I was too old, and they were afraid I'd have a heart attack. So I've been taking 36 years of driving a bus, major stress. Had a really bad accident, and my blood pressure was up to 240 over 180, which is a little high. But I thought, whatever. It'll take care of itself somehow. But I started taking whatever natural stuff I could. And although I was sleeping, my blood pressure was still high. Other than that, I took the RNA drops, 2 drops twice a day for the last couple of weeks. I've been feeling this depression, this sense of helplessness, which is exactly what I felt when I took this other drug that I was given a long time ago. So I've stayed away from the doctors because this one doctor who turned into a naturopath, just like you, saw what the damage that was being done, and he said, I don't know what idiot put you on this, but you're getting a stimulant for your heart, for your angina pains. Get off it immediately. It might kill you. And then the one good doctor told me, I'm too old for this job. I need to cut off. He needs to cut me off before I die of a heart attack. And he's done evaluations on people for 30 years. And his sister's a good friend of mine, and she told me, trust him because he sees that in you, and he just wants to be safe. And I'm 62 years old. Oh, that's about all I can say. Well, there's a whole bunch of other stuff, too. I mean,
no, that's a good overview. That gives me a handle on things. And yeah, it might be that at this point the Remite, but the iodine part of the Remite is just stimulating you too much. So obviously you just put the Remite aside and just focus on the Remag and the RNA drops. And
well, even the Realign doesn't test good for me. Once in a while I take one of them, but I always test everything, muscle test it.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about the Realign. Yeah, so because, what it implies is that, all you've been through and the stress and blood pressure and some, I don't know how much, it does not sound like you've had, you had some medication. So, maybe the body's just a bit too toxic to take too many different things, but just stay with what seems to be working, which is the Remag and the RNA drops, and I don't know. Let me see what
yesterday for the first time I felt really good, and I'm sure it was the RNA because suddenly I felt really good, and I was like, wow, this is the first time I felt this way for a long, long time. Plus I got all my mercury fillings out of my mouth quite a few years ago, probably about 10 years ago. Went all the way to Calgary to do that. And so that should have helped me. I ended up in the hospital because of that. I couldn't function. so they put me on all these drugs in the hospital. That's what really got to me, the Largactil and a bunch of other stuff that I didn't know what was happening. I was 17 at the time, so it was more than 10 years ago.
Yeah. And you mean because of the mercury fillings, and then when you had the mercury fillings out, you were better?
Well, I felt like one day he took them out and he gave this stuff to me, and I almost felt like I got a big hug from God or something. Like the first time I felt anything for such a long time. I had no feelings of everything. He said that's a lot of the mercury affecting you. So you don't feel anything.
So yeah, that's like I was suggesting about being toxic. It sounds like there's a lot of toxicity in your system, so I think you have to be really careful about adding more of the completement formulas right now because you don't want to destabilize. So yeah, just stick with the Remag and the RNA drops and keep us posted. I'm not going to tell you to take anything more at this point. Okay? Is that enough to go on?
When he tested me, I was cadmium, arsenic, mercury, and lead were at toxic levels in my system when he did the blood work. As a naturopath, you pay to have these blood work done. The government won't pay for that. But that was something he said, that's from driving in traffic all day. You got all those fumes you're breathing in. 20 minutes of 200 buses that are started, and you can barely walk through the, So it's a miracle that I'm alive. He said, they're trying to kill you.
No, you're alive and well, and you'll do okay. But just everything you say reinforces that you're too toxic to detox right now. So stick with your Remag and your RNA drops. Take Epsom salts baths. Do saunas. Do those things that will all gently detoxify you, and keep in touch with Ginny, who sounds like she's your new best friend. Okay?
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I wanted to know, like, is it still possible after all these years that stuff's still not finally coming out of my system? It's been stuck in my liver for so long, and now that I've retired and left all that, and I'm breathing good air
you've only just now opened up your body to the possibility of getting rid of all that stuff. So it's going to come out in ways of emotionality, blood pressure. It's your body's been protecting you by keeping some of those toxins. That's why they were measurable. They're still in you. Okay?
Wow. That's incredible. Thank you for that. It's just that sometimes the depression, I feel like I'm useless. I can't function almost, and I'm doing tapping and I'm doing all kinds of other things that I can do.
Very good. So, I'll get Ginny to send you. Okay, no problem, Gordon. I'll get Ginny to send you our total biology information on that too, just to help. But know that it's a physical, biochemical irritation of your brain that's happening. It's not. I mean, heaven forbid you did lose your mom and you lost your job, so you have reason to feel sad. But it's also the biochemistry. Yeah.
And how long do you think it'll take before that? I don't know. I guess I'll just keep testing it and going by the feel of it.
But what we talk about is looking at the windows of feeling good, the windows of appreciation. And you said that was it yesterday you felt really good? That was a good window. And then on days when you don't. Right, and on days when you don't feel quite so good, you think, well, I had a good day, whatever, February 5th, and I'll have another good day soon. So it really, it's just keeping your attitude firmly on moving forward.
Well, it's good. I have 7 kids. 2 of them have gotten married and they have children. And a lot of them are really pushing me, like, what's the matter with you, Dad? You used to be so alive and you used to tell everybody everything, and now you can't even do anything. Like, what's wrong with you? And then so there's a lot of pressure from my wife and the kids to get going and doing stuff, get back on track. And like you said, I need to heal first. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, just say, you're welcome, Gordon, anytime. And, just tell them, look, I built up a lot of toxicity in all the years I worked to put you kids through school and put clothes on your back and put food on the table. So just leave me alone while I detoxify.
That's right. Thank you. And I did tell her, I'm talking to Dr. Caroline. She says, well, you got to see somebody because I don't want to go see a doctor. The last doctor I saw almost killed me. And so I didn't even go see they only used to go see a psychiatrist and a doctor so I could keep off work and have sick time. I said, no, I'm just going to quit. I said, Mom, if you die, I'm going to quit working. And she did die, and I quit because I just don't want to go through that again. So thank you for your thoughts, and
okay, Gordon, we're off.
My prayers are with you.
We're off to the next happy caller because now you're happy because you know the worst is over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you. You've given me hope, and I like those RNA drops, and I just ordered the other complement thing, all 3 of them.
Oh, good for you.
I'll let my daughter. Thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, excellent. And Gordon, you know how to get a hold of me, so you just email if you need anything. Okay, let's see. Where are we now? We've got one more caller, Carolyn, and let's try to get that in really quick. And then we'll, at area code 847, you're on the line with Dr. Dean. Hello?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. We can.
Oh, yes. I'm on a busy street, so I'm... All right. Hello. Thank you for your time. So I purchased the Remag, and I've been taking it for since last summer.
I cannot hear you, and I don't have your first name yet. So can you duck into a safe alleyway or something, and so we can hear you?
Okay. Everybody, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
All right. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Thank you. So I purchased the Remag, and I've been using it since last summer. And the only thing I'm concerned about is chloride overdose because the product does contain chloride, right?
No.
I thought it was magnesium chloride.
Are you? And maybe I'm just not hearing. Are you saying fluoride with an F?
No, chloride, like CHLORIDE.
Oh yeah, it's a magnesium chloride. Chloride is an electrolyte that the body requires. It's perfectly safe. It has nothing to do with chlorine, which is what's toxic. So it's like salt is sodium chloride. It's something that's very safe in the body. So I don't know why you would think there's a concern.
Oh, like if I was taking 800 in one day, I took 800 milligrams of elemental magnesium with the Remag. I think with the chloride, that would be like, considering more chloride, that would be, would it be like 2,000 milligrams of chloride?
Right. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, chloride, the chloride ion is something that is safe and normal in the human body, and no one. You're just having a concern about a word. It's nothing to do with reality.
I thought that there might be like an excess, and like, it's too much chloride. Like
no.
Like on labels of different foods, when it says, or even the certain bottles of other magnesium brands, it states how much chloride, and then it says daily value. So there really is no daily value of chloride required.
It's just so ubiquitous. I don't know what else to say to you. It's people have thousands of milligrams of it in their diets every day. So it's it's high in like I said, sea salt or seaweed. I'm looking up a list now. And rye, tomatoes, lettuce, celery, olives. It's just very common. So I don't know what else to say to you. I'm telling you as a medical doctor that it's perfectly safe and not a problem. So that's all I can do.
Okay, so if I'm a 135-pound male, like 5'9", how much elemental magnesium, should I be, I guess, consuming every day?
It depends on how what symptoms you have. If you can get your magnesium RBC level, that helps judge your requirements. In my mathematics, you seem to be underweight though, so I don't know if that's your normal weight or if you're underweight. But personally, I'm like 107 pounds, and I needed 1,200 milligrams of my Remag for a couple of years before I got saturated. Someone else might just need 1 teaspoon, which is 300 milligrams. So it's very individual. There's no standard, and that's what we're kind of promoting here is find out what you how you feel on a certain amount and take that amount.
Okay, so I lost it. If I was,
I can't hear you anymore. I'm sorry. And again, I don't know.
I kind of forgot what I was going to say. Sorry. All right. So you do not recommend taking vitamin D or?
You're just I'm sorry, but you have to be more focused. And if you could phone back when you're in a better environment, because I'm having a lot of trouble hearing you. And if you have, general questions, just email them to support@rnareset.com, because, we've only got a few more minutes left in the show, and I have to hit some mailbag questions. So I'm going to let you go for now, okay?
Okay, thank you. Right.
Okay, good. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, Ginny.
Okay. Mailbag.
Now, this was a blog question from your blog. Someone says, I did the RBC test in January as advised. Result was 5.2. I had no magnesium for 36 hours prior to the test. I'm now on 1.5 teaspoons of Remag. I have no physical signs that I need more or less magnesium. Question, how to use another blood test to see if I'm taking enough magnesium? Well, that would only be being able to get the ionized magnesium test, which is really not available. And 5.2, that, in my world, it's a bit low. I'd like it to be 6, but I don't know if that's an accurate test. I guess if I would just repeat the magnesium RBC test and see, and going a day and a half without magnesium, I wonder if that, just makes it lower and lower. I'm trying to get everybody just to do the 12-hour test. Maybe it's higher if this individual would use the 12-hour fasting. If I have to be off magnesium in order to test and this product has no laxative effect, I'm not sure where to go next. Figure I should wait at least 6 months to retest the levels. So yeah, I would just do a 12-hour fast of magnesium. Really take a good look at gauging magnesium deficiency and all the magnesium deficiency signs and symptoms, and see. Personally, I would kind of go to 2 teaspoons a day and see if anything shifted. See if I felt better on 2. The what do we call the maintenance dose is 1 teaspoon, so you may be fine at 1.5 teaspoons a day as it stands. the next question that arose from the blog. And doing these like this saves me having to write emails. So what level would you want to see RBC magnesium for a 13-year-old boy who has trouble with anxiety, ADD, and leg cramps? The doctor has finally agreed to test his RBC level. And then the mom is saying, I successfully got off my diuretic for high blood pressure by using your Remag. Thank you very much. So, I mean, it's the same with children. A 13-year-old boy, he's probably 100 pounds. So it would be still the 6.0, although the doctor's going to say if he's 4.2, he's okay. But to get a baseline, it's good before he starts the Remag, and I'd go for 6.0. And last one, I've got a minute. My husband has been on Remag for 8 months. He takes at least 2 teaspoons a day. Recent blood tests showed a level of 2.3. Now, the range is 1.7 to 2.3. This is serum magnesium. High on serum magnesium doesn't really tell you too much. She says, although his blood pressure is still a bit high and he has some tics, some muscle spasms, some anxiety, what level should his blood reading be at? How much Remag should he be taking to help overcome? So this gentleman probably needs the 2.5 to 3 teaspoons, but this is where you have to pull in the Remite as well. Make sure you're on unrefined sea salted water. And you can phone in, just for more input on that. But the serum magnesium test is always going to look good. And with that, I end the show and give it over to Ginny for the last 30 seconds. Thank you, Ginny.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, all of our callers. Thanks, all of our listeners. Thanks, Bob. Bye, Bob. Miss Bob tonight.
Thank you. Learned a lot today. Very nice show. Very good.
Bye. Bye,
Thanks,
Carolyn.
Ginny. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Michael, for your song.
AchieveRadio.com.
Well, it's marvelous, you see, as coming into your knowingness of the power that you actually have. As human beings, you can be, do, or have anything. And if you can get humans to come to the spark that activates the non-physical part that's already within them, they know. Then they